This is the beautiful township of Sorrento on the Mornington Peninsula. Sometimes you cannot see the forest for the trees. I've been filming all around the world the last 10 years. This is 20 minutes from my house. My good friend David Kramer, you rang me and said you must come and check it out. It's a pretty special place, isn't it?
Well, Paul, I reckon Sorrento is the gateway to some of the most beautiful scenery, some of the best fishing that the Mornington Peninsula and the whole of Port Phillip has to offer. We've got a good chance today of getting whiting, calamari, flathead, and to top it off, some beautiful scallops. What more could you want on your plate?
Well, if it all works according to the plan, and let me just say I'm loving this plan, David is even going to put his chef hat on and he's going to cook them for me. I'm here and yummy in my tummy. Let's go fishing.
All right.
Not quite at Mud Island yet, but David just said let's stop and get one squid. Just one squid.
That's all we need. Just love a little bit of tentacle on the hook and you're on, like that.
Yes?
Just a little bit of tentacle on the hook before the pippy or the bass yabby, whatever we're using for bait, because it hangs on. The other baits don't. And if you can get a little bit of squid on there, the whiting will come back and say, oh, I missed a bit. Oh, got it.
Well, a friend of mine, Joe Downey, who is the Shimano representative for Victoria, he says, proper preparation prevents pathetic performance. Paul.
That's a lot of peas.
That's a lot of peas. Now, do you want to grab this by your hand or by the net?
Net's always good.
Yeah, the net's up the front. I reckon we go to the net too. I'll just hold him there. This is Southern Calamari. And when I say proper preparation prevents pathetic performance, Paul, that means don't just rush out there in a big fit to try and get your whiting, whatever else. He's ready to go, mate. Spend the time getting the bait. Don't spray my camera, he doesn't like that.
The beauty of the net, Paul, is they always squirt ink when they touch it. Get rid of that ink as much as you can.
Bring him on in, look at that. I just want to show you, that is a Yozuri squid jig. And let me just say, David, you said olive the pink one. I went for my famous brown. I love brown. And that is one cast. So, one cast, David, and we're off to catch some serious fish.
Absolutely.
And I can't even put my squid jig on properly.
Beautiful.
I'm doing well. You'll notice I'm down the blunt end of the boat. David's driving. Even though these are local waters and I've got a fantastic mapping system, David knows where the fish are, so I put him in charge. It's unusual today. I didn't think my producer Bob Grieve was coming with us, but he surprised me and he's shown up anyway. Hey Bob!
Well, we've just arrived at what I call some of the most productive fishing grounds for whiting in Port Phillip Bay. Absolutely beautiful part of the world, this. The reason I've got my spotters on is because I'm looking for the weed patches here. And there's about 10 acres of weed patches here. What I want is a nice patch of sand in amongst the weed beds, and that's where the whiting are going to be.
This is a lead-weighted Burley bucket. And people in other states, when I say other states, I mean not Victoria, they're finally starting to realise just how important Burley is. And what I do, I basically just fill this with this beautiful mix. There's pilchards in here, tuna oil, pellets, all sorts of ground fish meal. And when this hits the bottom, because I've got this gutter guard in there, and you can pick up gutter guard basically anywhere, the Burley flow doesn't go out too hard, it just goes out nice and soft, and it lets the whiting know we're in the area. One of the negatives, it can attract fish that are undesirable, like leather jackets, etc. But the whiting will find it, it'll bring them right under our boat, and then we catch the fish. I get people email IFISH TV website all the time and say, Paul, you got to show us more fishing rigs. Well, here's one. How good's that? I actually went into my store at Cram yesterday and I grabbed a Gilly's whiting rig. I'm going to tie it straight to the end of Jet's rod and reel. Don't tell Jet I stole his favourite little fishing rod and reel. I'm going to see if a bought one works just as good as a made one. Ooh. Now, I'm playing around with my Gilly's whiting rig, and my...
You can't even say it.
And my cameraman says, "Oh, Paul, is there something on this one?" Yes, Andrew, there's something on this one. Look, it's called a whiting. Oh, that is so funny. And that is just what we're looking for. David, I can't even speak.
That is a lovely Port Phillip whiting.
King George whiting. And Andrew, guess what? When the rod's buckled over and the tip's in the water, it means there is something on this one. I'm having some bad luck. David just brought up a beautiful whiting and a calamari come and physically ate it off his hook. So I've got my squid jig out. I'm going to catch this whiting that's on there. David, if you can just grab that squid jig. So, bad luck turns to good luck, and isn't that amazing? Got the Burley going. I've only been here around 10 minutes. They're just streamlined fish, tough as nails. That's actually a nice fish. We can get a lot of pickers. I've gone back to pippies for bait because they are an absolute favourite for the whiting. For holding upside down, you might stay nice and calm. You can see I'm using a long shank hook. It's actually one of Owner's new prototypes. And the whiting is just hooked, sorry about the lens, it's just hooked in the bottom of the mouth because they're real little suckers. Squid?
There's that calamari. You're gonna love that. I tell you what, I'm gonna teach him a lesson. He took that whiting, that was absolutely beautiful. And look at this.
Just watch that lens. My cameraman doesn't like ink on his lens.
We were talking about the smorgasbord earlier on, Paul. That is going to be part of it very shortly.
We've got two ingredients.
We have.
Calamari and King George whiting.
Oh, Paul. When I said I was going to take you out for 3 or 4 species, I didn't mean we'd get them all in the one spot.
I love your work. It is just gold.
That is unbelievable.
Now, you don't need to grab it, you're right.
I'm right.
Oh, he's about to shoot. Look, he's
he's fine.
absolutely chockers, so I'm going to hold him away from the camera.
Yeah, don't point him at me.
And get that out, that little Yozuri squid jig in brown.
Absolute dynamite.
And the reason we're catching calamari, and they are beautiful southern calamari, just look at that eye. Not the smartest creature on the planet, but just beautiful. The reason we're catching these here is because they get King George whiting. We're catching King George whiting, so they're here feeding. It's all about that ecosystem. Fish get eaten or they eat, one of the two. And just imagine, David, how many 1,000 kilograms of fish must be eaten in the ocean every day?
Oh, amazing.
It'd be billions, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they need to eat to survive, just like us. When we go to the supermarket, this is their supermarket.
Will we come out here?
Now, straight to the naughty corner for you. Oh! How's the way that hit that, Dave?
That is a decent sized whiting, Paul, if it's a whiting.
I just heard line come off the little IX2000. Ooh! And Jetty is going to be crushed that I've stolen his rod and reel and I'm smacking some fish. Now, oh, there's a bit of go there. This is my Gilly's whiting rig that I unwrapped earlier. Oh, bit of 6-pound Maxima, a little Shimano blue boys rod. Shimano's cheapest reel, believe it or not. I just want to prove you can catch nice fish on cheap here.
Paul, you got a big flathead.
Oh, it's a big flathead.
Yum, yum.
How good is that? Get the net. Get the net, David, get the net. It's a nice flathead. And this is one of the beauties of fishing. Shallow reefy areas, sand, weed, we're in about 5 metres of water. You basically get all these different species come up. Now, I'm just trying to watch that Burley.
Bring him around here.
I'm trying, mate. He's got some go.
He's a decent sized flatty.
Oh, look at that! Oh. And
it must be that rig. I tell you what.
Now, you know what this proves, David?
What does it prove?
Well, it proves, just hold him up there so we can see him, it proves flathead can't read.
Yeah.
Because that clearly said on the packet.
A whiting rig.
A whiting rig. So, because you can't read, and kids, there's a moral of the story there, go to school, learn your ABCs, because you can't read, you won't see your name on our menu.
Paul, can I just say something? 3 ingredients. My mouth is starting to water.
That is gold. Oh, thank you.
How good is that?
Very much. Well, we've got a bit of a whiting bite going here. And I don't know what I've got here, David. Looks like a little salmon,
So
maybe.
salmon, it's come to the surface.
Well, David, now I've got a technical question for you, David.
Yeah.
Because they say that if you get a lot of fish together, right, what do you call a group of fish?
A school.
Well, it's obvious that these fish are not going to school because we caught a flathead on a whiting rig, and I just caught a salmon when I had a hot whiting bite going.
Paul, it's called a multicultural school. Get with the times.
That is unbelievable. That is a very little fish. I think it's a salmon. It could be a Tommy Ruff. Could be a Arapus Trotter too. You just never know in these parts.
You never know.
He's undersized. He's going back. And David, how do salmon nuggets go on the barbecue?
Not real good.
Right.
Let's stick with the good species we've got.
Now you go back to that school of yours and you tell your mates to do some serious reading. There's this new thing called Google. It's the World Wide Web.
And on. Oh, this is a nice fish too. Nice little fish. About time I got a whiting. Paul was starting to absolutely slaughter me in the whiting stakes. And this is a lovely whiting. Tangled up in everyone else's lines, but only small.
That's all good. Now, I just want to say, my boat stands out just a little bit on the water. People can see me. So we're going to go this way because I've just met some brand new best friends. I don't even know their names. What are your names, boys?
Brent.
Brent? And what's your name?
Mike.
Mike. That is a very large gummy shark. Fellas, where'd you catch it?
Oh, just out there on the drop, out the back there.
Well, that is about 25 kilos of gummy shark. We've got some amazing snapper as well. Pick up one of the snapper for us.
Yep. Got a big snapper in here, about 8 kilos. Another one about 6.
This is heavy.
Another one about 3.5.
That is a beautiful fish.
88 centimetres.
Yeah.
It's a bit thin in the girth, but still a good fish.
Like me, thin in the girth, but still a good
Not
size.
like me.
Still a
This
good.
one here,
Just grab a photo of that gummy.
this one's a bit of a bubble nose.
Yeah.
Form me a little bubble on its nose. Probably about 5.8, 5.7.
What bait you catch him on, boys?
Fresh squid.
Sensational.
Caught right where you are.
So,
Right this spot on the
so if I give you my
the
phone number,
dark.
you'll take me fishing.
Yeah.
I like
No
these.
worries.
I like these boys. Brent and Mike, my brand new best friends. Now go away. You're making me look bad. Go away.
See you later, boys.
Get out of here, boys. Jetty Reef, your fishing rod is working a treat. Another nice King George whiting, and you know what? This must be a school fish, David, because this one actually read the rig. He got caught on my famous whiting
You
rig.
read that it was a whiting rig and just swamped it.
Now I'm going to take him over to the measuring board and I can get the hook out of him. That's the beauty of these long
It'll be
shank
pretty
hooks.
close.
It should be close. The legal size for a King George whiting is 27 centimetres. If I put that fish against my ruler, I think he's going to be there. That's 0. Oh, he's 30.
There you go.
So that is well over legal size, and people in Queensland, Northern Territory might say, oh, that's only a small fish. They're pretty slippery too. I'm going to come back to you, David, hang on. But is it one of the tastiest fish you could ever
One
eat?
of the best fish you can eat.
Oh. And they're slippery little suckers too. I'm just getting the weirdest little bites. Look at it load up, Dave. Look. Oh, there's something there. Not a whiting, I wouldn't imagine. Look at that.
Wow.
The things you catch when you haven't had anything to drink.
Now what is that, Paul?
That is a bearded goatfish, also known as a red mullet. And they are, believe it or not, one of the greatest eating fish on the planet.
Wow.
Now, there is no size limit on red mullet in Victoria. In saying that, David, I think he's just too small for me to even contemplate eating, isn't he?
Yes, you wouldn't get even a fish finger off that, I don't think, Paul.
No, so he's going back. But red mullet, they're an absolute delicacy, particularly in the Greek Isles, I believe.
There
They
you go.
just love them.
Beautiful looking fish.
Oh, they're cute.
Just had a couple of nibbles and onto him. Very lovely fish. This will be a whiting. Nothing monstrous. But another lovely, lovely little whiting. I tell you what, these fish are in Port Phillip Bay around 6-7 months of the year, so they're a really important fish for us. You can fish for them land-based, sometimes in the surf even, but off a boat, absolutely fantastic. Now this isn't a big one, but absolutely beautiful fish.
Well, we've got the flathead, the King George whiting and the calamari. I think it's time for you to live up to your end of the deal and cook me lunch.
Paul, that sounds like a good main menu, but I want to get you an entree, and we're going to need these.
As you can see, David is in the water trying to collect some beautiful Port Phillip Bay scallops. Now, I would have got in, but I only get in 3 types of water: swimming pools, bathtubs, and showers. Because for the salty stuff, it's got these things called, and I'm not a fan.
Okay, now I'm going to make some beautiful beer batter for our fresh whiting and flathead. What I do, crack an egg into the bowl, like so. I'll just pop that to the side. Beer, nice and cold beer. And we want about a cup of beer. There we go, about that. I'll give that a bit of a beat. Beautiful, froth it up right like that. Get that egg mixed right in with the beer, nice and bubbly. Now the next thing I add is self-raising flour, not plain flour. What we do later on is we roll the fish in plain flour, but we use self-raising in our beer batter. Now what I want to do is make that nice and thick, so a real pasty, and it doesn't matter if I put too much in because I can water it down again with the beer and just lighten it ready for cooking. So I get that self-raising flour, give it a really good stir. Now that is absolutely perfect. A little trick I'm going to show you: when you're cooking in a beautiful kitchen like we are today, you want to keep the beer batter cold, because the colder the beer batter and the hotter the oil makes a beautiful beer batter. Look at this, ice blocks. Drop them in, just a few, give it a stir. I'm going to pop that in the esky for 20 minutes. That's going to be really nice and cold when we're ready to cook. Okay, now the calamari, nice simple recipe. I've just melted a little bit of butter into the pan. I'm going to throw the calamari in like so. Legs and all, absolutely beautiful. Just spread that out a little bit. Nothing flash with this recipe. Bit of chili sauce is all we need. Sprinkle that in there. I'm going to stir that round a little bit. And 3 or 4 minutes in there, and that will be absolutely delicious and melt in your mouth. You don't want to overcook it. 3 or 4 minutes is plenty for calamari.
David tells me the secret to his scallops is his amazing Asian sauce. Just use these simple ingredients and voila!
Now I promised Paul an entree, and the scallops you saw me diving for earlier on, that's the result once they're out of their shells. I've just put a little bit more butter into the pan. I'm just going to pour those in like so. They're only going to need probably a minute or 2. Absolutely beautiful. You can smell them already. Just get my tongs and stir them round. Now what I'm going to do once these are cooked is pop them back into the shells, about 3 or 4 per shell, put my beautiful Asian sauce in, and they are going to be delicious.
So what's next? We've got the squid, amazing. We've got the scallops. We need to batter some fish.
We're doing that, and like I said before, plain flour is what we roll our fish in. So what I'm going to do, sprinkle a bit of that into there, just a little bit, or a shovel load. Give that a really good shake.
Now these are the beautiful King George whiting and flathead we caught earlier. We've just filled them, prepared them, and now a good beer batter makes all the difference, doesn't it, David?
Absolutely, and look at that. See how easy that is to coat? I'm going to dip that in the beer batter, into the oil. That is going to be fantastic. All right, now a little bit of whiting into that beer batter like so, and ready to go in the oil. And have a look at that. Paul, bit of flathead.
Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, I haven't even tasted it yet. We'll give you some flathead, mate. Jet's keen to eat the fish. David, you're an absolute champion. Well done. A fantastic day on Port Phillip Bay. And if this is what fishing, boating, and being on the Mornington Peninsula is all about, then I have to say, it's a damn good pastime, this fishing, isn't it?
That's not a bad place to be.